NASA's fascinating mission to view asteroid Psyche, and one can only imagine what that is going to show us. Now, one person who spent a lot of time imagining what the Psyche mission is going to show us is Lindy Elkins-Tanton. She's the principal investigator with the Psyche mission, and she joins us now. Lindy, welcome, and thank you for coming on Asteroid Day.
It's great to see you, and I so appreciate your interest in the Psyche mission. Thank you.
Now, this is fascinating to me. Asteroid Psyche, I mean, once a part of a core inside a planet. I mean, does this mean that there was once more planets in the solar system than the ones we see around us today? Tell me a little bit more about this fascinating history for this object.
The history of Psyche is such a mystery, and we're really hoping to unravel that mystery with the mission. I can tell you what theory says, what we infer from telescopic observations of other solar systems, and what we read out of the meteorites that fall to Earth today, which is that very, very rapidly after our disk of dust and gas formed around our baby sun as it was gathering mass into this baby sun, that disk of dust and gas coalesced into 1,000 or thousands of small planets that we call planetesimals, which is a great word to learn, smaller than our moon in most cases, maybe up to the size of the moon, all of them orbiting our sun, colliding with each other, sometimes breaking each other apart, sometimes coalescing together to form our rocky planets. And that's the birthing place, we think, of Psyche, of our asteroid Psyche. And our as you mentioned, our what we call our fiducial hypothesis, our number one guess, I would call it, about what we think Psyche is that it's a part of the metallic core of one of those planetesimals, one that got mashed apart, crushed apart by impacts rather than joining together to become part of the Earth or Venus. But I would just add one thing, which is that even that is an unlikely hypothesis because that doesn't happen very often in our models. And yet it's the likeliest one we've been able to think of.
It's incredible to think that it could be so rare, this object. And what kind of measurements will you be making that can tell you the truth about Psyche?
One of the most challenging parts I discover of developing a mission is figuring out what we can measure. It's all so much harder in space than it is on the Earth. And there aren't that many instruments to choose from, and what measurements can they make and what can we infer from them? Well, so we start by what can we infer from the Earth? So we think we know about what the density of Psyche is, which says that it can't be pure rock, it has to be denser than that. And the only thing really common that's denser is metal. It has certain aspects of how light reflects off it and how radar reflects off it that says that it should be metal. And so what do we do with that when we get there? Well, the number one thing, which I think almost anyone could guess, would be we carry a magnetometer to see if it has a magnetic field. And we hope that it does, because if it has a strong magnetic field that it's still holding on to 4.5 billion years after its formation, then that does mean it was once a core. We'll take pictures, of course, because never go to space without taking pictures. General rule of thumb, always bring cameras. And then the last instrument we're bringing is called a gamma ray and neutron spectrometer. And that is a really astonishing high-tech instrument that will be able to measure from orbit, we're just orbiting, measure from orbit the atomic composition of the surface of Psyche. And we are very, very excited about that. And so along with that, we'll measure its gravity field and its shape. And of course, we'll get its density. Those are the things we'll be observing when we're there.
So the Psyche mission itself is about a year away from launch. How does that feel to be entering this sort of final stretch?
It is so intense in this final stretch. Everyone warned me. I've never been on a mission in this stage before. And so I'm experiencing it for the first time along with a few of our team members. And we just look at each other and our eyebrows go up and our eyes get big. So indeed, we're in this phase called Assembly, Test, and Launch Operations, which of course is known as its acronym ATLO. And we are less than a year from launching the spacecraft, or from transporting the spacecraft from Jet Propulsion Laboratory in California to the Cape in Florida for launch. So in less than a year, it'll be going across the country to Florida. And then in just over a year, it'll be launching. And so one might think in the normal projects that one does in one's life that a year is plenty of time to do most anything. Well, keep in mind, we've been working on this project, the first concept 10 years ago. And then we were approved by NASA for flight in 2017. And so we've been completing the design and then building ever since then. And now it feels like we're down to the wire. We have literally every day planned what needs to happen with every part of the team to make this happen, to get to launch. And you can also imagine that it is much more challenging to do this when the Earth has been going through this pandemic, because you cannot literally build hardware remotely. You cannot build hardware over Zoom. And so making sure everyone stays safe, opening the labs to the capacity that's possible, keeping all the parts rolling in. It's been a big challenge, but we're feeling confident that we're going to make it. But it's stressful. It's a high stress year.
Well, I've got every confidence in you and the team, Lindy. I really have. And if I ask you, what would be the one thing that you would like to sort of see at Psyche or to know about Psyche by the mission, what would be the one thing that you would choose?
Oh, what is the one thing that I most want to know or see? Well, I'd tell you that of course, I hold all of our science objectives dear, and I will be my correct, impartial scientist self as we read the data and come through. But what I want to share with you right now is my real gut reaction is two different fantasies about Psyche. One is I can't wait to see what it looks like. I'm really hopeful that it looks quite different than other asteroids that we've seen, because we're pretty confident that it's a large percentage metal. It could still even be all metal, and maybe half metal is also a possibility. So it could look very different, and I'm hopeful that it will. I think that would be exciting. And here's the other thing I hope. I hope that all our ideas about what it is and how it formed are wrong, and that we get a big surprise, and that it's something we never anticipated. That would be a great payoff, actually. We'd learn even more from that.
Well, we are all on the edge of our seat to know what Psyche really is, and we'll be with you every step of that way. So thank you so much for joining us on this Asteroid Day. We're really very grateful.
I'm very grateful for your interest, and we're so excited to share everything about this mission with everyone. Thanks so much.